Hey, we live with the Johnnie Cole HBCU Stroll coming back today. You know I'm feeling good because my Tigers on this side, my Tigers, they got after Southern University this weekend, and it seems that we got their number. But today I'm bringing on, a best friend, brother, father, idol, uh, somebody I grew up looking at and just want to talk, because everybody talk about the Cole boys, the Cole boys. The Cole boys can coach. The Cole boys did this. The Cole boys did that. The Cole boys, man, they transcended black college football. Well, we here. We're gonna get into some of that today. I'm bringing in, as everybody know, LC Cole, Eddie Ward, a winner, Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year award, Black Man Coach of the Year, Atlantic Classic Coach of the Year, only black coach to ever win a predominantly PWI conference, not 1 year, but 2 years, the last black college team to finish number one in the country at Tennessee State. My brother, LC, what's going on?
Oh, good afternoon. Everything's going great. We just got
Yeah,
to turn around and get the program turned around here and win one.
yeah. We were raised by a good woman and a praying woman, and we've been able to find our way through this football world to continue to come on top. So a lot of people always ask me, well, what's LC doing? I said, well, he's down at Allen University. And I always tell him, I said, man, my brother's a football coach. He don't chase mascots. He's here to coach football. So, you're down at Allen University. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I got the job here at Allen University back in March and came up in spring. I just want to give a shout out to Tater Keaton for, bringing me on as a defensive coordinator to help him get this program turned around. We got, some pretty good football players here. I think being at this school here, I've been to a lot of the small institutions, but we do have some pretty good football players here that could play on the next level. And what we got to do is just keep working on them and making them understand how you got to win, things you got to give up, and, how you have to change yourself if you want to be good.
Yeah, without a doubt. Just want to talk about this week in black college football. What went down in the conference? Uh, we had in the CIAA. No, I'm sorry. In the MEAC, you had Morgan State winning 24-9. You had Hampton over Norfolk. Norfolk is falling off, or coach is just cleaning guys out and really trying to bring them back. Beat them 17-7. Morehouse winless. It's one of your guys, and we'll get off into our coaching tree. Morehouse lose to Howard 31-0. They said they had a good crowd up there in New York. North Carolina Central 45-27 over New Hampshire. North Carolina Central is doing well. They opened up and beat A&T, and A&T kind of fell off a little bit. Delaware State beat Virginia Lynchburg 35-19. Over in the SWAC conference, man, Grambling was all over Jackson State. Jesus Christ, 66-24. I guess Deion's saying they dominating. They definitely doing that. Alabama A&M falls again. They 0-3, lose to Austin P 28-3. Losing that quarterback at Alabama A&M, they kind of struggling a little bit offensively. Texas Southern, my TSU Tigers, all over Southern University. I just can't believe Coach Dooley is known for offense, but they came up with a goose egg. He's going to have to get that program going in the right direction. Pine Bluff, of course, loses to Oklahoma State 63-7. Incarnate Word gives Prairie View their first loss 31-14. Delta State all over Mississippi Valley 28-17. Alcorn State a winner over McNeese. The standings now over in the SIAC, you got Benedict is 3-0, and they lead that conference. Fort Valley upset you guys last Saturday. I thought you guys had that game. It was a tough one. And over in the West, Central State is 1-2 overall, and Tuskegee is coming 1-2, which y'all got Tuskegee this week. Man, I tell you, this coaching thing is a journey for us. Just a little bit about LC. I know as a young kid, making all-state in football, all-state in basketball, being one of the top players being recruited out of Dayton, Ohio when we were growing up. We've had Woody Hayes in our home, Bo Schimbacher in our home, Todd Osborne. LC he's always been a winner, and he actually got me into the coaching world. And when I went to Texas Southern, I just started coaching. I think it was your GA in Nebraska.
Yes, I was a graduate assistant at Nebraska, and then I went to Nebraska. I went to New Mexico State as a full-time coach. That was my first initial deal. I went there in 1982.
Yeah, and then you start with coming to Houston and recruit, and then I had opportunity to travel around you. A little bit about myself, I'm the youngest of 8 boys, and man, I had a football in my hand, LC Hump, before I was 6 years old. I didn't know who I was.
That was just
And
family
then,
tradition. That's where it started like that.
yeah, and then all you guys, we all went to the same high school, and coming up behind all of them, not only I started off as equipment manager, cleaning cleats out, and I've been around football all my life, and then I went to being a trainer. Taught me how to tape ankles, and I was also exposed to the coaching staff because I used to sit in their meetings and stuff and wash clothes and listen to coaches talk about coaches. So that's a little bit of, and I had a great career in high school as well. I played quarterback there and played basketball and baseball and all that good stuff, and made all Southwest Ohio. Of course, you made all state. And, our careers are off and running. I got my first job at Texas Southern. You got your first job in New Mexico, and kind of take us from your New Mexico first job.
Well, if you got time for all that.
Well, yeah, I know you've been to all these schools.
It was just always a good thing that I did my graduate work at Nebraska. And then when I went there, I went to New Mexico State. My head coach by the name of Fred Zeckman, which was from Ohio State. So it was kind of like that Ohio connection, how I was able to end up getting that job, because Bill Miles, who recruited me at New Mexico at Nebraska, became the linebacker coach at Ohio State. So I was able to get the job in New Mexico State. After New Mexico State, I ended up going to Ball State, and that's where I met Paul Shadell. He was from Michigan. So I was a part of the Michigan staff, went up there and seen Bo Schimbacher, spend time up there. After I got finished at Ball State, then I ended up going to to Kansas State University. So I went back down in the Big 8 where I played football with a guy by the name of Stan Parrish, which coached at Purdue. So if you kind of follow this trend, everything has been a Big Ten coach. And then when I left Kansas State, I went to the University of Wisconsin in the Big Ten.
Right.
Big Ten. So I coached in the Big Ten. After the University of Wisconsin, then I went to University of Toledo. That's where Coach Saban, where I coached with Coach Saban who was the head coach at University of Alabama. So I always was connected in with some great coaches. And then when Coach Saban left, he went to the Cleveland Browns with Bill Belichick. He asked me to come over there, and I came over there for a little bit, but I just had made up my mind that I wanted to coach college football. I didn't really want to be in the pros. Pros a little bit different, the time and the way the players are. I didn't want to do that. So I ended up going to Morgan State as a defensive coordinator, assistant head coach.
Let's stop right there, LC. Let's stop right there. You Morgan State, first HBCU job.
Right.
I started off at Texas Southern, stayed there 8-9 years. I'm a black college guy, UPWI guy. I'm an offensive guy. You're a defensive guy. It's a perfect man. And we're brothers. And left Texas Southern because I wanted to be an offensive coordinator. I was under Lionel Taylor, my first job under Lionel Taylor, who was a former pro player. He's in the Ring of Fame with Denver. taught me everything about the passing game. As a matter of fact, he was at Pittsburgh Steelers under their reign of those Super Bowls. And then he left Pittsburgh Steelers and went to the Rams, and they ended up playing each other in the Super Bowl. So the basis of my offense and everybody knows about the hobo offense, high operated, big play offense. We look for mismatches, and it comes from the West Coast. I was able to go to Southwestern College. My first offensive coordinator job under Jay Cabell, which was one of your old teammates.
Right.
And we end up there breaking every conference record on the offensive side of the ball. And then I left there and went to Southern University, where I coached under Pete Richardson, who coached both of me and you at Dunbar High School. We end up winning the national title. And, my guys played very well. Left Southern University. I went overseas for a year. Coached overseas over at Hamburg Blue Devils. And then I came back and joined you at the University of Cincinnati. Yeah. So and that was in 1995, where I coached the player of the year there, a guy named Robert Tate. And go ahead. You go back. Where was you at now? You was leaving Toledo?
Yeah, I was leaving.
You went to Morgan State.
Yeah, I left Morgan State.
Tell me about your first issue with HBCU, Morgan State.
It was an experience.
Yeah.
If I always go back to my high school days, I just think we went to Paul Dunbar High School, and we was there. It was all black high school, and you don't get the best of everything during that time. I mean, you didn't get pre-wrapped on your ankles. They tape your ankles with regular tape on. You pull the hair off your legs, or cut the back of your Achilles tendons behind your ankle. When you got injured, we didn't have no trainer. The coach would tell you to go run it off, and you, in your mind, you would think, man, you can run off a twisted ankle. So you running on a track trying to run an injury off, and ain't no way in the world that you go run an injury off. You just make it worse. So it was just always those things. So when I was recruited by Nebraska, I went out there and, I seen the place. I seen them getting tape pre-wrapped on benches. I seen the jacuzzis and the whirlpools and the saunas, and I'm just kind of just looking and thinking like, wow, this is what it's all about. Because I was only recruited by one black school, and that was Central State, and I was not going to Central State. I decided I wanted to see what it was on the other side, how it was really, really ran. And I always tell the story about Nebraska, though. When I reported into camp, we had 2-a-day practices. So we would be practicing, and then they'll have a period in there where they'll have a break. So when they had the break, they had Gatorade, oranges, everything you want to name at the break. So you go over there and you would, get you a couple orange slices and drink Gatorade. So I went over there, I started drinking Gatorade, and the stomach started getting big. And I didn't know we could go back to practice. And then they had these oranges, and I was sticking them all in a cup, and I was putting them in my belt line right there. And I seen the coaches over there looking at me like, where we get this one from? Because, hey, I was saving everything, to make sure. And shit, stomach had got big, and I just always remember that, you in a big place. They got plenty of that where you coming from. You ain't got to make sure you hoard it, or you get whatever you get.
Just to piggyback off all that. And see, that's where I got being at a black college. And what we're talking about is all the experiences that we've had before, and we're going to get into our coaching careers when we start being in charge. But me now, I'm at Texas Southern. No oranges, no Gatorade. I had an equipment manager that would give me large pants, and I only weighed 150 pounds. So I used to have to tape my pants up to practice in. And we had some cliques, like they were like gym shoe cliques. We used to call them buddies. And we were in our locker room was so crammed up on top of each other, it was crazy. And the football field, man, it had dirt running down through the middle. And I could remember my freshman year. It was so hot in Houston. It was so hot in Houston that when you would run and you run past somebody, you could feel they body heat. And then my experience, when I came in off the plane, being picked up by alumnus, he says, I didn't know we recruit managers. I'm like, well, who you talking about? He said, man, you awfully small to come here. He said, you must can play. I said, yes, I can play. And I can play very well, and you will see. And he said, well, I guess you can, you know. And from that time on, it was humility all the way to the day I started at Texas Southern.
Morgan State was my black college thrill coaching over there. We had one office and cubicles, and it
That's
was
in Morgan
underneath
State.
it was Morgan State. It was underneath the bleachers. We didn't have a weight room. Had to go down there in a closet, and I kind of painted it up and kind of put up a goal board. Plus, my brother Stevie, he was with me. He came along with me because you don't have a full coaching staff, so he came along and kind of helped me out. We had to go out, water our grass field, because if it didn't, it was hard as a rock. We had to go out there. We didn't have paint, so we had to take this lime and mark your field and everything like that. We didn't have a clock. I mean, it was just so, it's unbelievable. But, you know, the experience that I went through, and that just made me stronger when I decided to move along to, you know, decide to come back into black college football. Like I say, I never would have came back if it weren't for you and Eddie Robinson convincing me to come back, because I remember you telling me to apply for the Tennessee State job, and I was assistant head coach at the University of Cincinnati, and I'm figuring I'm going to move on and be a Division I coach, but, you know,
Well,
I made that decision to go to Tennessee State.
Well, let me come. I'm gonna butt in, and it'll be remiss, LC, if we don't say something about the boys' club. How that's how we started learning how to line fields. We used to line the field for flag football games. They used to have flag football leagues, and it was big time. And also at home. Remember in our backyard that we had alleys. They got alleys in Ohio. Yeah. And my daddy and they made a backboard out of what was it? It was 1x16 boards.
Yeah.
They were boards, backboards. They were wooden boards, and then we would paint the alley, lines around the alley, like out of bounds, free throw. Yeah. So that's where we kind of got.
Put on a little music box behind the bank board and hook up the little wires, and, you know, during that time, and then just play your music, and everybody in the neighborhood came down and played. And
then we put the lights. We had lights going up. We had lights going up. So those are things, and the thing about me when I played the game, you know, my accuracy is so great because my brother Norris used to hang a string in a bike tire, and he used to swing the bike tire, and I used to take the football, and I had to throw the ball through there. So it'd be remiss to go back. So now we at University of Cincinnati together. I get a call. I'm overseas. They need a wide receiver coach. I come in. I have made it to the big time, quote unquote, to the PWI.
Told Coach Minner, because I told Coach
wide
Minner,
receiver group that had gotten rid of 2 coaches before I showed up. So here I come on Black College. You know, you don't talk back to a coach at Black College.
Right.
You know, in my first 2 days, I grabbed a kid by the face mask and put his face mask on my nose. And I said, son, I don't know who you think you talking to, but you got the wrong one. And I got those guys in. And like I said earlier, I went on to coach a kid that came coach of the year. And then Tennessee State job opened up. I'm a Black college guy. I'm telling my brother because all the time he used to tell me about things at these schools, PWI schools, that we didn't have that was important. So I knew that me and him could do them together. And that's what we done. We done them together. So anyway, I said, apply for the job. But one thing I told him, I said, now, when you go down there to the Black college, don't talk about running the ball like at Nebraska. Remember I told you that? I said, man, we like to throw the ball in Black college.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. And then when I applied, they really didn't give me an interview. So one of the guys bumped out.
Alex Hubbard from the Cowboys receiver coach, who was a graduate from State.
Right. He bowed out. And I remember I was in New Orleans when I got the phone call. They wanted me to leave New Orleans and come straight to Tennessee State. And I said, no. I said, I'm down here in New Orleans for this coaching convention. When the convention over, I'll come down there Friday, and I'll fly down there Friday because I left the convention Wednesday, and I said I'll be down there Friday. And then I decided to go down there Friday and got everything, all set, packed up and everything. And the bad part about it, got on the plane, got there, and I walked out. And sure enough, the guy who was supposed to pick me up was 30 minutes late. And I said, oh, here we go. I said, this is the reason why I ain't gonna want this job, because this guy tells me that he was standing out there in that car, and I walked out and I know better than that. But
and we stayed up all night getting that stuff ready for the interview.
Yeah, till almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I had to leave like 8 o'clock and got it all done and set. And I had everything set when I went in there, and we did the interview and went through the process of everything and all that. And then they wanted me to stay. It was like about 8 o'clock, and I said, no, I got to go back to Cincinnati because we got a recruiting weekend. So I flew back to Cincinnati, and then I got that call Sunday morning. Matter of fact, I got the call Sunday morning.
I know.
And they told me that they wanted to offer me the job at Tennessee State. And
no, I remember you called me, and me and my wife was in bed, and I told her we going to Tennessee State. She cried.
Yeah, I know, because my wife felt the same way. They just, they were from PWI colleges and stuff, and and it was just a, different mode for them. But once we got down to Tennessee State, flew down there, you had to go through a little bit of difficult times and stuff when you got down there, where you put you up at, where they put us up at that hotel.
But remember, LC, the first thing was they weren't gonna let me come.
Right. Yeah.
So we had to write a letter. It's the crazy, and not to mention the Ryan boys was there before us.
Right.
But I had to get a letter stating that I would answer to the AD and not to you.
Right. They had the two white coaches
that was a red flag.
Yeah. So they kept telling me nepotism, and finally I just went up to the president and went to some alumni people saying, look here, and just told them that story. I said, why is it different for me and my brother, and then the two white coaches were brothers on the staff? I said, why is it a different deal there? So finally they said, hey, look, your brother can come, but let's just write a note to cover ourselves, to protect ourselves. So we, went along with that. And, once after all that stuff happened, and, we went through some tough times when we first started there. I mean, I was there before you got there. And when I first got there, the team tried to test me. They was in the cafeteria throwing food fight. My first day on the job, food fight at the school. So I said, all right. I called him that morning, got him off at 7 o'clock in the morning, took him to the gym. I put him we called Big 26. I put him through that and ran until they finally told me who was doing it. And I turned around and told them guys to stand up, and I pointed towards the door, and I told them to get out of here. You're done here. I said, there's people around the world starving, and we out here throwing food.
Yeah,
so that's how I started off at the beginning.
One of your guys, Daryl Williams, said, great coach, miss you. But yeah, coach, so we go on, we show up at Tennessee State. Fields ain't lying. No balls, no whistles, no coaching uniforms, no locker room, really. So we had to go to work. We line our fields. Tennessee Titans had just moved in, so they moved us out of our locker room and put us up underneath the hole over in another little spot.
You remember that was our second year that night. That was that second year. Our first year, we was up underneath that locker room. I ended up, the people from, when I got the job, a guy by the name Mark Maurer, him and his wife, his father happened to be in town and came in and met me and said he knew me from Nebraska, and he was the president of Women of the World. He turned around and gave us $30,000. He said, Coach, here, $30,000. As long as you're the head coach at Tennessee State, we don't give you just $30,000. And he gave me $30,000.
That sound like Dion's situation, but he got sponsors.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so got the $30,000. So I was able to turn around and buy the kids t-shirts, shoes, and all that. We didn't have any of that kind of stuff. We was a ragtag program over there, and it was just unbelievable for that to be Tennessee State with all the history of guys that played there. I mean, Tennessee State is full of history, and just to see the way it was, it was unbelievable.
And a lot of it was your experience from PWIs. Like you changed. Well, how can our kid be on? He's a full Pell Grant guy, and because he's on scholarship, we take his Pell Grant. Yeah. That's not right.
Yeah,
you can't do that. So that was one of the biggest things that you changed.
And they was taking our kids' needy funds. They were taking the Pell money and the needy fund, and the kids should get their needy fund. You know, and when I was talking to the kids about needy fund, they didn't even know what I was talking about.
But here's the catch, though, LC. That was everywhere in black college. That was when I played at Texas Southern. That was everywhere.
You signed your check over
scholarship. You didn't get your Pell Grant.
Wow.
Your Pell Grant was applied to your scholarship.
It was.
Hey, you changed that. The discipline part. You changed the way we dressed.
Yeah.
Wasn't no high sock, low sock, black sock, bow tie on your underneath, your hoodie in the back, towels.
Yeah, we didn't have braids in our hair. We didn't everything. We was just trying to make our kids be professional that understand you're a college student, and after that,
the problem started. People start. I ain't gonna say people. Certain people start saying, "Well, you guys are trying to make them like you. What's wrong with his hair? What's wrong with? Well, why can't?" Because the whole thing was about getting our kids focused, getting them focused, getting them to look at what's important. You know, class is important. We told them what? Sit in the front 3 rows.
Yeah.
Feet on the ground, back to, yes sir, no sir, to your professor. Get to know them. And you also brought to Tennessee State the academic cards.
Right. Yeah. One of the things I always thought like this too. I said, America has the greatest military around in the world. We have the greatest military. So why is our military so great? It's because when you look at them, they all dress the same, they march the same, they carry their rifles the same. So when you believe that everything is the same, then you don't have no problems. But when you got guys trying to be different, then you got issues and problems there. That's what's wrong with America right now, the school system and our culture right now, because everybody's been talking about, well, let you be as this and let you be as that and all that. That's why it's all whacked out right now, man. We got to get some law and order and stuff. And
it's okay. It's okay to be who you are outside of your job or outside of nobody said it. When you off the job, go be you.
Right. When you work for somebody, you got to go by what their laws and rules are. As long as they're not threatening your life or doing anything, you have to follow the law. And that's what it is, follow the law. And that's what we did. We just made our kids see a little bit different how important education was. How if you dress right and then you go to get a job. Like I told most of my guys, if you went to a job interview and you didn't know how to put a suit on right, and you went in there with an orange suit on and half your hair pink and half of it red, you're going to lose the interview, because most of the people that you're going to sit down at that table with is probably going to be white folks. They're not going to be black. And all the thing they're going to do is just look at you and like, wow. And you might be the smartest guy sitting at the table and can bring their company $1 million, but they can't get over how you look. Now, is that fair? No, but that's just the way the rules of life is.
Yeah, right. All right, we now we got the kids focused. They getting their Pell Grant, they eating good, they dressing good. Now it's time to play. And boy, we were so weak that first year.
Yeah. Hey, we played. I always just remember when we played Eastern Kentucky. They was hitting it so hard. I felt sorry for our kids. I really did. I told you. I said, man, we got to get a strength coach. I said, until we get strong like Eastern Kentucky, I said, we won't win a game here because they murdered us. I'm talking about murders. And I was just like,
They kneeled. They kneeled at. Remember, they kneeled at the 2-yard line going in.
yeah. They didn't want to punish them no more. They kneeled. We had guys that didn't even want to go back in the game.
Yeah.
See, come on Monday, it was a whole sick bay.
Yeah.
Now
we going into we finish it up year 3. We 2. We don't get stronger. Yeah. Now, one of the things too, I got a question. He said, what would be different if you got one more shot at it, Coach LC?
One more shot at where?
Being a head coach.
Oh, I wouldn't change nothing that I have done along the path of the way, because everything we have done has been successful. So to me, you never change. People always say about Coach Saban. That's one thing I learned from him. Everything he's done, he's done that ever since he started. He ain't changed them, but just adjusted to a couple of things. But as far as what he done to get where he's at, same thing. I mean, you go to University of Alabama. You see anybody out there wearing anything different? Everybody got white socks, black shoes, and don't have all them towels hanging and all that kind of stuff. It's amazing that is a successful plan. And nobody says nothing.
Right.
But they've been winning. So
Right.
you have to hang your hat on something that's successful and winning. And,
Right.
and that's what I wouldn't change a thing. I would keep it the same.
Right. And I can remember when we was in OVC and when they were beating us, they would shake our hands and tell us how great our team is, and your guys are okay. And when that 3rd year came, we were strong, disciplined, smart. We had got players. We had got transfers from all over.
I had
Tyrone Butterfield,
right.
Murray. We had guys from the city, Avion Black. We had put together a heck of a football program, and
what we had did.
We got after them, and after that, they wouldn't even shake our hands.
Yeah, what made us be so good, start being so good, because we changed the culture. Recruiting wise, we stayed in better hotels. We didn't eat at the local hop shop. You go to
the chicken boxes after the game.
Yeah, get a chicken box from Church's Chicken. The chicken be cold. I'm a player. I'm been out there and played all hard and everything. You give me a chicken box. Church's Chicken, it looks to form anyway, so you don't know what you're eating anyway.
Now, here we go. NCAA comes in from a kid's father, this kid was on a college football scholarship for 5 years.
Yeah.
Or 4, and never put a uniform on. He gets upset because we releases his son, and he caused so much havoc. And one thing led to another as we fighting and painting fields and make sure these kids doing what and chasing things down. We got a group of people working through the backyard, working around, pulling our players, talking to them, because we had to make a transition from the old players to the new players. And while we winning championships, we got a whole bunch of things going on behind us.
Right. And I guess they thought that was going to be a distraction. But I think, as we build the character in our guys about what we were trying to do, I don't think anything was going to interfere with them guys on the plan and the direction we were going. I think that's where we got to. We instilled in our guys about winning, being, accountability, about going to class and doing the right things. And we instilled that in them. And I don't think nobody could stop that, once you had got that into our kids.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I don't throw this in. And I think Deion Sanders is doing a great job, but he just working with our blueprint. That's all. He just got our blueprint. But, we did some great things. We went through that. And people don't even know, LC, you was making $75,000.
Yeah.
And then after that, you go to Alabama State, double your salary because a guy named Donald Watkins came down, flew both me and you down to Montgomery, showed us what the plan was to take the school to Division 1A. They don't know that they offered me the head job at Tennessee State.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it for 2 or 3 days. and you call mama. No,
I'm the one be
and,
getting the
hey,
calls all the time when I
mama
go
put the
to the
APB
job.
out and say, you tell your little brother that y'all supposed to stay together. So
Yeah.
anyway, but that ain't where I came. You know, we had such a hard time off the field at Tennessee State. I just decided that I need to go. And we come on to Alabama State. We get to Alabama State. President wasn't in place. 2 or 3 athletic directors. And one thing, and when we took over at Tennessee State, they hadn't had a winning season in 9 years. Now
Right.
we show up at Alabama State. They hadn't had a winning season since the 91 team. All
Yeah.
right. So we get to Alabama State, run through 2 or 3 athletic directors, 2 or 3 presidents. We first year there, we win the East Championship.
I want to just reverse to your back, but we would have stayed at Tennessee State, but I don't think we was really appreciated. I would say by the administration because we won 2 Ohio Valley Conference championship. We finished #1 in the nation. We did something that no black school has ever won, and you never get rewarded for it. I mean,
And I
that's
think we
that's
finished like what, number 9 in '98, and
yeah,
then we led the Ohio Valley. We broke every offensive record in
right.
OVC.
And
Matter
I
of
just
fact, the
think,
quarterback was up for Heisman. We had 2 MVP of the conference,
yeah.
and it's still some records that's still there
See,
that
I
we
don't
own.
think a lot of people think that we just walked out of Tennessee State. It wasn't that way. We left because, the white coach gets rewarded. They gets another contract. But when I went in there to talk to them, they turned around there wanted to offer me a 110, but I wasn't going to get the 110 until the fiscal year. That wasn't until July 1. Now, you really honestly think I'm supposed to turn down 140 and then wait on a hope and a prayer that you're going to give me 110 in July 1, the fiscal year? And you never gave me a raise or bonus for what all we did and won. I wasn't expecting that. I really told them to give it to my assistant coaches because it wasn't just about me, it's about my assistant coaches because you guys are making peanuts. You were the offensive coordinator making $40,000. You and
I was
Jake.
going to say $40,000 and leading the nation in offense.
Yeah. And the other guys were getting 20,000 and 15 and 5,000. That's what we were getting paid. And you look at Tennessee right now, they're paying a head coach $400,000. They owe me some money. I'm telling you, I need to go back over and
They
tell you they owe me
they
some back
they
pay.
they, they hadn't won. I think they won one time. I think they had like a 7-4 record, and they gave him the Black College Championship. I guess it was just a down year for all Black College, but they hadn't won since you left. So we go to Alabama State, 9 losing seasons, hadn't won. Program was underneath. We come there and they say cold-blooded football. So we go and win the East 2 years back to back. They hire another AD. He calls you in the office while I'm out in California and tell you what?
Well, he sits there and tells me that we're being investigated on. You guys are bringing strippers in. Alabama don't even have strippers. And he was talking about something that he's talking about happened when we first got there. The first thing we got to Alabama State, I had to send you and some other coaches out to California to recruit. So we were all in the recruiting process and all that. It just, I think what happened
Hey,
is,
we were still staying in hotels,
yeah,
let alone trying to find a stripper.
what happened there is that we came out with this bold thing of cold-blooded football. All right, that was big, and we got everybody excited. We had pep rallies, we had football week, we got the community involved. I mean, we were everywhere in Montgomery. If you had a function, the cold-blooded was there. I mean, we were everywhere. We supported everything, every
We, we,
women's group, every children
we
group,
sold,
everything.
we sold T-shirts. Season tickets was up.
Right.
Morale was up. Enrollment went up.
Yeah, we were selling T-shirts out the back of the trunk of the car, and then finally, I decided it got so big, we decided to put it in the bookstore, and they started selling it from the bookstore. They were making mega money. But I would say one thing about Alabama State: there was some good home down Southern good fans. I really appreciated when we were there. They really, stuck by your side, and all the time, no matter what was said, anything. They didn't let you talk. You might say something about us, but them most would bag it up and say, no, that ain't the way our football program is.
Now, let me say this too, LC, and make sure everybody understands. We don't run away from us being the head coach and being in charge and something happened to our program. You know, we accept that. But what I don't accept, you know, and everybody know about my situation in Texas Southern and Lane and my is that I don't think you blow the ship up because stuff happened in everybody's program. Everybody. If you go back and look at the SWAC conference in the last 20 years, it's been a violation in every university. Not 1, 2, 3, some of them 5, some of them 6.
Well,
you're looking at the only 2 black coaches in the last 40 years that lose their jobs because of NCAA violation. You tell me really what violation can a black college do or where a winning coach, a championship coach, that you don't stand behind them, you know. Because now that every school that we've left, you know, and I know at my school at Texas Southern University, their record is 27 and 86. That means they only won 27 games since 2010. And Lane College has only had one win since I left. And of course, Tennessee State hadn't won OVC in how many now? 22 years. Yeah, Alabama 20. State won 2 championships or 1 championship the year that we left, which was our year that our players.
Right.
So I don't want nobody to think that we don't say, oh, well, we didn't do anything. It wasn't anything that we done that was intentional. You know, it says, I got one question. It says, do you 2 feel you've been blackballed?
Well, you would have to say that.
Yeah, I do.
I think, you know, we was at the pivotal year of us really winning. I think if we would still be at Alabama State would probably be in Division I right now. I mean, that plan was to build that stadium and do all that stuff when we were there. That was my plan. Everybody talks about trying to take credit about that stadium and all that kind of stuff. That was the plan when I came there.
We built that stadium. Let's get that straight.
Right. And that was our plan, to build that thing and fulfill that thing every freaking football game. And it just ain't been happening though. But you know, I just tell you
even
this.
The Turkey Day Classic. Remember the Turkey Day Classic? It was so many people there. It reminded me of one of those old juke joints back in the 40s and 50s where people just hanging on the ceiling and just trying to get into the game. And you know, thanks to James Woody and Coach Cummings, man, it was a battle. It was unbelievable. Those fans in Alabama State and really in Nashville too. Everywhere we be in Lane College, Texas Southern, we've always been the people's choice. Let's get that straight.
Right.
It always come down to administration.
See, I think, you know, like you say, a little bit. Sometimes they say we was before our time and stuff. I mean, you know, it's just how. You know, our football program, how our kids dress, how we travel. You know, we got out of I understand about helping your fellow person, but if your bus ain't running right, I can't, you know, getting on these broke down buses, we go on a trip and the bus break down. Come on now. How you going to recruit and do things when you over there, the mom and pop bus, man, you go 5 miles down the road, you break down. No, it's a whole bunch of players can identify with that. We got to clean our act up.
One thing I don't like, LC, and we're trying to get it all in. We got about 17 minutes. One thing I hate, and you know you can get on this, is that they don't only just and I had chances to coach, but I'm not starting over. I'm not starting over. Either I'm get a head coach or up underneath offensive coordinator. I've turned jobs down. No, I'm not going to be a receiver coach. No, I'm not going to be a running back coach. But I will go and be a coordinator or a head coach somewhere. But one of the things, LC, is, and especially that 98 and 99 Tennessee State, is how the university and the athletic department have treated all of our championship teams as if we never won a championship before.
And that's unfair, too. That is very unfair. And that's why always when Tennessee State is doing something that it just pisses me off, you hire 2 coaches or 3 coaches since there and not hire guys from our championship team to be a part of that program. You don't have anything hanging up. You don't talk about them. I went to University of Nebraska. Do you understand that every season they send me season tickets if I need to go to the game because we won a championship. We played there. Your letter there.
Yeah, and that's
To
one thing.
be
Also,
back to
LC
school to
was
win a championship, they should be doing everything for them guys. Them guys don't graduated. They doctors, they lawyers, they're productive citizens in Nashville. Come on now.
yeah. You got some great guys. I know we had some great guys at Alabama State had went on and done great things. And I'm gonna get to that same thing in Texas Southern. They don't talk about it. They don't talk about it. None of the athletes come back around. Let's talk about our tree. Let's talk about the tree. What is a tree? If people don't know, is people who have came up underneath us. We now have Mickey Joseph, head coach in Nebraska.
He coached
Darrell
with
Williams,
us.
head coach at Livingstone. Kevin Ramsey, head coach at Clark and at Texas Southern. Richard Freeman, head coach at Morehouse. Defense coordinator Copeland. Defensive back coach Pittsburgh Steelers.
Kerry Dixon.
Kerry Dixon at the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Cap Kapilovic, offense coordinator at Michigan State. Strength coach Jason Johnson at Michigan State.
Mark at California, Berkeley.
Yeah, Toriana Morgan, head coach at Edward Waters.
Yeah, so
our tree is so big in just a atrocity of high school coaches and head coaches that have came up underneath us and have ran our system. And I get calls today. Moses Harper, now up at SEMO, is doing a great job. It's just so many guys. Tremaine Jackson at Valdosta State, Colorado Mesa. Don't have not one guy who have been in our tree on his staff. I don't get that. Other guys, they hire their own. We don't hire our own. What's your thoughts?
I didn't hear that last part. I didn't hear your last.
Oh, I was just going around saying, what's your thoughts? You've put out a lot. Of course, I come up underneath your tree, and I was looking, at guys who came up under my tree, the tree.
Right. I think it just says great wonders about what we did, with them guys. I think.
Yeah, you
talking about it. Guys came underneath the program and was able to and do those things. So you're talking about college, you're talking about high school, you're talking about all these professors, all the people that's been underneath of us. So we must have been doing something right. And I just feel like anybody else, I would use the word blackball from coaching. It's so many other coaches that did worse things in America, but in our own race, what we try to do, we hammer each other down into the dirt. And I'm always going to say it ain't no reason why you should not be a head coach right now, an offensive coordinator somewhere. And the same thing here. I'm just happen to be at Allen University defensive coordinator because Teddy Keaton believed in what I did and what I accomplished here and gave me an opportunity to try to work my way back into the system.
Yeah, it's almost like Teddy was telling me when he hired you, he got a couple of calls like, well, why would you hire him? Yeah. Because he's a winning football coach, because he stands for something, because that he has a plan of action to help me win football games. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about developing young people and winning football games.
And, we need a improvement. Black college need a shot in the arm. And I'm not talking about the coaches that's in black college. A lot of them right now are very young and need some experienced guys to be on the staff to make a difference. It ain't just about winning and losing. It's about the character of the kids too, how you build your program, what your kids stand for. Are they going to class? Because you better understand they're not going to be able to run and jump all their life and everything. They better be understanding that getting an education. Also, you help the university when you graduate. you give back to the school, and you come back to the program, talk to the kids, influence the kids how I came through. Everybody has the way they have built this a building blocks as you go. And that's what I look at black schools right now. I just say when I go into the schools, you see no history of what happened in the day. When I go to Tennessee State, you know, you want to walk over there, man. Tennessee State ought to be a memorial site for people who come into Tennessee State with all them football players, the track
Olympians,
team,
the Tiger Bells.
yeah, the Tiger Bells. I mean, they got so much history over there. But when you go over there, you don't see none of it is displayed nowhere. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the same thing at my alma mater. You know, back in '70, you got 2 first-round draft choices. We got 4 or 5 guys in the Hall of Fame. We had more track people in the Olympics, but when you go back to the university, there's nowhere around. It's at HBCU. We don't understand the importance of history, of keeping up with our history. We always running. It's like running a track meet, but we got so much turnover that we always in first leg. You don't come into a program and say, well, nothing around here was right. And what they do is they alienate. And the first thing they do is say, we here to come show you what to do. I've been at Tennessee State. I've been at Alabama State. I've been at Lane College. I've been at Southern University. It's the same thing. It's not a you versus me. You're supposed to come into a program and build off what the person there and then invite that coach back. You invited Coach Markham back. You invited former coaches back. I did the same thing to talk to the players.
You know that Tennessee State has never invited me back there. I'm the only winning coach that's alive, have not been offered to come back to Tennessee State in no fashion or form, nowhere. And that is unfreaking believable. And you look at all these other schools bringing these.
I'm glad I made amends with my dear Texas Southern and Coach Granger. I'd like to thank you. But Lane College, same way. I had 25 losing seasons. I come there and win 2 years back to back. I leave, and I'm the worst thing ever came there. Oh man, Cole messed up that's the word we hear. Oh, Cole messed up our school. And I'm like, well, when I got there, you ain't won in 19 years. When I took Texas Southern, they were 4-40.
But
I don't get that. I don't get why we're so, not we, but we're so hard on each other as black folks.
Well, see, and then my last thing I want to just say, you know, it's just like FAMU. How in the world that you have that situation happen with FAMU? Do you know that same situation happened with us way back, pulling kids off the bus, stuff? How did this just keep going back and back? Like that's 20 years ago that kids ineligible stuff. Where did this stuff come from? But when they want to get rid of a coach and everything, that's what they do. Oh, well, he played that guy. Well, I don't put no grades in. I don't do the certification. I don't do none of that. That's people in line to do that. You need to hire qualified people to do that, and you won't have it. The SWAC is a good conference, but buddy, you got to get everything else in line to make it a great conference.
Right. When I heard that stuff at Florida A&M, I was like, man, remember we was at Tennessee State. They came over with the eligibility sheet. 22, I need your jersey. James, here, take 22 jersey after. Yeah. It was just like nightmare. We didn't know who played, and one slips through, the tight end slips through, and we hit him on a touchdown pass, and they said, Coach, you got to take it, man. He called a touchdown pass. He was ineligible. Right. You'd be like, okay.
And we put him in the game because the compliance officer pulled him out the stands and told him he eligible. It could have been somebody off the street played that day. That was awful. Yeah. Awful.
I laugh really to keep from crying because we don't, and certainly you LC with all the trend setting that you've done, you really was the first PWI coach to come into black college football in my 40 years that turned things around and won. And then Pete Richardson came in. No, let me take that back. Yeah, you won at the PWI level. And then, of course, Pete came in and turned Southern around as well. You can't say enough about that. But, coaches in these days don't get into administrative stuff. That's why they got compliance guys. And some of these schools, and maybe the NCAA should step in and as much as money as they make and give each black school 2 more compliance officers.
Because you can't
and
afford
pay them from NCAA fund.
Yeah, they need to do that. And one of the things I would just say, because Pete Richardson coached me, the difference what people don't understand what we did, all right? What we did, we was in a PEI, we was in a white conference. We was in a white conference. We played all the top white schools and we played the tough black schools. Our schedule, we played FAMU, South Carolina State. We played all of them in the same
A&T, Jackson State.
A&T, Jackson State, we played all of them in the same year, playing Middle Tennessee State, Southern Method. We played all of them. But what I'm saying now, when you look at the SWAC right now, see, how did you start playing Division II schools? You going back to the 2 school. That's why I say you don't make the conference great. If you want to make the conference great, play each other, the FAMUs, the Jackson States, the Tennessee State, Jackson State. Now they don't cut that a rival out. So what are we doing? You got to watch what's going on in college football now. And I don't think black college football understands. You look in the Southwest Conference with Alabama, now USC, all of them come on there, all piling up into this one conference, making it a powerhouse conference that people are going to watch on TV. People are not going to sit and watch TV. Jackson State, they'll watch Jackson State, but they're not going to watch Mississippi Valley, Pine Bluff. But that's not a market doing. They got to make them programs better, proper sharing.
Well, my thing is we need to stop. We need to stop hiring our friends. Lincoln, Missouri ain't won in 40 years.
Yeah.
And they keep going out and getting a guy with no experience. Lincoln, Pennsylvania ain't won. UK, damn, I can't think of, what I'm talking about. They ain't won. Mississippi Valley ain't won. They don't have one winning season. Right. They should have been knocking our door down.
Right.
Pine Bluff, same thing. You know what I mean? You got schools that ain't won. Delaware State finally is putting some stuff together, but hell, they don't even have a conference. There are some places that what are you doing? What are you looking at when you're trying to hire a coach?
Right. I interviewed at Mississippi Valley, and they didn't give me the job. Come on. That interview there. Now, why could I not be the head coach of Mississippi Valley? Ain't no way. But somebody over there said, oh, he's a bad guy. I think he did some NCAA stuff or something like that. See, and I was clear. We was all clear from NCAA and all that kind of stuff. And somebody still wants to call Dirk, pick up the phone and call them. You don't want to hire them because the NCAA going to be in there tomorrow, going to be in there investigating. So, we backstab each other.
I tell these guys, y'all give the NCAA too much credit. Believe me, they're not worried about HBCUs. They definitely not.
Yeah,
matter of fact, they probably wish you go to the NAIA.
Yeah, because they don't want to do that stuff.
We come to the end, bro.
Yeah,
our nephew is being inducted into the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame. Trent Cole Jr. Norris Cole Jr. the second just made first team American Cup team down in Brazil. He made the American Cup team and done well. So those are our guys. We all flying up to Philadelphia to see Trent Jr. get inducted to the Hall of Fame with the Philadelphia Eagles. Your final remarks.
I just I wish things could be better. It can be better if we all just quit the bickering and fighting among each other and do the right thing when it comes down to hiring. Like you just said, it ain't about hiring your friends. It's about hiring the best qualified guy for the job. That's what it's all about. And also, I think too is if you're gonna have a program, then put the money into it to have it and make sure everything is in place for a coach to come in, because that's the only way you're gonna be successful these days. Because if you don't have the resources, you can't compete in today's market.
Appreciate you, Coach. Appreciate you, bro. Love you, Jeff. Good luck this week.
Yeah.
Guys,
Got a
Hey,
tough one. Got
and,
Tuskegee. You know I ain't never beat Tuskegee, so I
yeah,
got
I
to
know.
get him.
I know. I haven't either. Them
Hey,
or Prairie.
and we playing them in Montgomery too. And I'm going. Hey, they're going down.
I got you. I got you.
All right.
Hey, guys, thank you much. If you feel yourself at the end of the rope, tie a knot. Ain't nobody bad like you. See you next Monday. I'm out of here.
Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Monday. Yep, we're back at it. September 19th, 2022. Number 1, more buses continue traveling from southern border states to Chicago, New York City, and Washington, D.C. Saturday morning, a second bus went directly to the Naval Observatory, the official residence of Vice President Kamala Harris. And in another part of the program dubbed the Great Migrant Relocation, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis sent 24 migrants seeking asylum, not from his state, but from San Antonio, Texas, to Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts using Florida taxpayer funds. Number 2, over the past weekend, the Department of Justice filed an appeal to temporarily block an order given by the Trump-appointed Judge Eileen Cannon. Judge Cannon's directive to justice investigators stop examining the classified documents taken from Donald Trump's Florida home for now. And in a recent radio interview, Donald Trump spoke about the big problems if he is indicted by the federal government. The former president put out what many analysts fear, his call for supporters to take action. Number 3, New Mexico's health officials Thursday touted the new COVID-19 booster, along with an aggressive plan to bring it to the most vulnerable populations. The state has announced a timeline to get the Omicron booster to seniors and residents of long-term care facilities in the next 6 weeks. There are around 240 assisted living facilities, 70 nursing homes, and over 200 senior sites in New Mexico. There are also plans for drive-through clinics and to offer the flu vaccine at the same time. Number 4, donations are pouring in to help a 17-year-old sex trafficking victim who was ordered by a court to pay $150,000 to the family of a man she stabbed to death after he raped her. A GoFundMe campaign set up for Piper Lewis has already raised more than $200,000 just one day after the restitution order was handed down by an Iowa judge. Number 5, the Church of God in Christ, also known as COGIC, is one of the largest holiness Pentecostal churches in the world, with over 8 million members in over 112 countries. The mission of the denomination is simple: seek and save that which is lost. Read more about it in today's newsletter. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Good communication is the core of a good relationship. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with the wonderful comedians Chris Paul and Huggy Lowdown and social justice activist Coy Malone as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, the American Heart Association and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SybilWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.